beginning, product managers, UX researchers, marketeers, researching the target audience, business analyst if you want to be a product manager, or somehow formulate the requirements. Why do you need cast-staff research? As you know, product development is a timely and costly thing. So, you want to do something that the end users, the clients, and the market will require. You need to answer 3 questions. Is there a target audience enough to use it? Is there an issue that the users want to solve? They're thinking about this and they're ready to invest it with their time, money, their energy, apply their efforts. The issue solved by the potential product here needs to be solved better than the approaches of the competitors. Hence, this research. To answer these questions, the product team comes up with research. They could be quantitative and qualitative. Quantitative research answers the questions: how many, how much, and what is the share. So they have figures, and quality research describes the process, how people take their decisions, make their decisions. Today we'll be talking about the cast-staff interview. Go deeper, you need to digress and say that currently at the product development there's a customer development term. So when you hear it, when you Google it, you'll probably come across the cast-staff interview. But customer development is a much wider process that involves much more. Mr. Steve Blank, who is the founder of this term, thinks that this is a constant process of hypothesis validation regarding the target audience, the market, through receiving the feedback from the client. And his full-phase stories about how to make the customer developments involves the first phase of customer discovery, involving the interview. So he tells all the startups that you need to get out of the building. You need to talk with the live clients and users to understand how your product can be later used. So, the customer development interviews, they do help to understand this qualitative research, how the user makes a decision to answer the question, who, where, and how solve the issues that your product wants to solve. Basically, I divide it into 3 parts. First, in the search for the new segments, who are the people whom will we be working? The search for the new product or feature. Which answers the questions, what kind of problem we solve. And the third one is the search for communications, the marketing, the sales research, where we have the product and an audience, but we don't understand what people are buying this. We don't know what value the product has for them. So it helps us to formulate this price proposal. What is the difference between B2B and B2C cast-staff research? The major one is that if we imagine this kind of slide up, on the left you have the rational, on the right you have the emotional, motivational during decision making. And imagine we have those movers. If I gave this to my BA and asked him to develop a product, he would not understand it. Anyway, let's imagine we have a scale of in case of B2B client and segment. Usually the clients focus on the rational elements, the money or KPIs, because It's usually B2B clients have like CFO, logistics officers, and so on. And B2C research mostly involves emotional part that is diluted, of course, by rational part, but still it's about emotion. So it cannot be 100% pure on the left and on the right, but still. Anyway, what are the what are the other differences in B2B? In the B2B, you'll have two audiences. They use the product and they buy the product. With B2B and B2C products, the user is usually a child, and it's the parent that pays. In the B2B respondents, it's hard to find them there because these are the people who are at work, and they usually top management. It's difficult for them to find time for you. At the B2C level, people are talking about their own. They're not talking about the company or potential cooperative secrets. It's easier to talk with them. Well, that's judging by my experience. They're not afraid of saying something they may be punished. And the number of responses that you need in the B2C and B2B could be lower or smaller. So the sample is smaller. There are fewer businesses than people. And you, as a person who conducts research, have a bigger chance of quicker understanding of how things are going in a concrete segment. Because businesses are more or less similar processes, links. So talking with 5 or 7 logistic companies, you will probably understand what the logistics business looks like, and then you'll understand what the scheme of work is there. What are the main stages here? To put it simply, the first one is hypothesis, the second is target audience, then scripts, interview, results, and conclusions. First one, hypothesis. You better not start without hypothesis. Even if you don't have an idea about your segment, a product or feature, but you do have a certain idea in your head, it's important to write down your hypothesis with your hand or your computer. Several times I thought that it's easy to do that, but I didn't have a hypothesis. But I understood that without it, you'll spend more time to receive the useful insight. The example is fish. And next is the target audience. The better you formulate your target audience, the less time and effort you will spend to find these people and talk to them. Why? Because you'll have a script. When I talk about the communication script, you will understand where these people are, in which organizations, which conferences, which publics, chats, Facebook groups, and so on. Based on that, you will formulate a script on how to get your message across or get to them to schedule an interview. I'll give you an example that I use. I always remember that people very often read their messages from mobile screens, so if the letter doesn't fit the first page, one screen size, they wouldn't probably get the second screen. They wouldn't probably read it until the end. Right, so you need to write a script to outreach your clients and schedule an interview. What are the questions in the script? I'm not going deep about what questions you need to ask during the CASDEV interview. You need to Google it and
and you find about 40 questions. But I tell you what should be and should not be done. You shouldn't ask closed questions, or yes, no questions. Tell your proposals. I need to be assertive about cutting off the thoughts about the future. You need to ask open questions, rely on your past experience. The more relevant it is, the better, and ask people about the concrete actions. Not like you may do. You need to ask concrete actions. About concrete actions. If, for example, you don't know what to start with, or you didn't for the first time, you can use the 5W plus 1H questions: who, why, what, where, when, and how. These may help you to launch the process of asking questions. I always put the questions in writing. You can use them Word documents, napkins, whatever. Most importantly, they need to be laid out. This is not a scripted dogma. What should we pay attention to during the interview? People's memories is selective. People forget things. People replace facts, not because they're doing it on purpose, but that's what we are like. We are humans. So when you hear a statement, particular statement about a segment, a product, or competitors, or something, anything, you need to ask more and more clarifying questions. Why the person did this? Why it was difficult? Let them tell you stage by stage how they came to this or that decision. I have a lot of slides about interviews, you can see. How can it be held? I had an experience of holding one-to-one interviews when I'm one-on-one with the video conference. Here you have two choices. You either record the interview and listen to it and copy down what the person said, or you're doing it during the interview. In the first case, it simply lengthens the process. So it takes you half an hour to hold an interview, so you need to add an hour or more for note taking. In the second example, it depends on the skill. I'm doing it the second way, making notes during the concept interview, and then it takes me 20 to 30 minutes to rewrite facts. But again, I can lose some emotional connection that the client is sending you, or you may lose some facts. The second option is to hold an interview with a client, with a respondent, when you are with your colleague. This is the ideal option, because when you can you're asking questions, and your colleague is also helping you. At the same time, you have a better connection with your client. And the question at the end that I usually ask, and people ask, at the very end of the interview, you ask the person about what they want to share with you. And sometimes the person may tell you some key things, important things, that you forgot to ask about. But it doesn't always happen like this. The results. Please mark down the results, the main insights regarding how the interview was held. Made it in blocks. What questions did they answer? As to the number of interviews, in the B2B, the experience I have and my colleagues have is the following. Usually 8 to 12 interviews is enough to understand how this or that process works and to understand the client's pain. At the same time, this is not a factological approach. This is not a cast 9-digit. It happens after 12 or 15 or 16 interviews. As soon as I understand that what the next respondent would tell me answering my question, I think it's time to stop. It means you have a big context to understand the insight. And you can also get quite bored, which also shows that you get set bored, and usually it's 8 to 12 interviews that is enough for the B2B segment, particularly when the segment is quite simple. If you talk about cosmology, which is a very narrow segment, it has a lot of complications, you may not have enough. But if it's a simple segment in the B2B, which is clear, with a clear-cut process, then probably this will be the way. Conclusions and artifacts. What will you have at the very end of your research? What can you do? The main insights of the main interviews, key points that you thought were interesting based on your goals regarding the pain, the segment, regarding the marketing messages, what you thought was interesting and important. What patterns did you see? Did you get? What are the main new hypotheses? Because you came with one thought and hypothesis, and during the interview may have discovered something new. Sales marketing is there again. Please document everything. Everything you do, try to document it. Scripts, hypotheses, target audience, the questions you asked, the answers you received, including your conclusions, because within a few weeks you will forget it. If you get a new team member asking you about this or that, you can give them a link to the research. It's very much about the problems, pains, and target segments that you work with. You might as well make a map. There are difficulties and complications you can come across. There are no respondents. It may happen like this. The personal network, network of friends, gives a fantastic conversion, about 30% or more. The sales department of the conference is a place where you can hold interviews, or we can do it through the conference. You're all business analysts. If I wanted to hold the CastDev research, I would come to you and ask you for a conference, ask you for an interview. So there was a big sample conversion. Somebody would leave and somebody would answer my questions. The next one is community, paid services, social feeds, and reviews regarding the competition. With the Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, didn't really work for me, so I put a lamp next to it. Since my profiles on Facebook and others are not great, people don't really react well to my messages. If you have a good social feed profile, could be one of the sources. I think I need about 5 to 7 minutes, even though I'm out of time. Are you staying with us? Next, what are the difficulties? The interviews are not going smoothly. What does it mean? At some point, I understand that interviewers and respondents either don't answer the way I want them to, in the case that I need to recheck my hypothesis. Maybe I formulated the hypothesis in the wrong way. In this case, I could have made a mistake about the segment. Maybe I'm communicating with the wrong audience. When you feel that something is not going smooth enough, you can start from the very top. If you feel that you have a problem inside, like you feel difficulty talking with strange people, ask somebody else to do that. Or you can say that right during the interview that you're a big expert, so I may be a little bit nervous about that. The research doesn't give you insights. This is another issue. When you have held the survey or the interview, and I feel that you have failed, which is also a result. Again, you need to check top to bottom all your goals, hypotheses, and it might as well be that non-confirmation of your hypothesis may mean that you need to look for new tools. Maybe custom interviews is not the tool you need to check this hypothesis. Maybe you need quantitative methods, not qualitative. How much time and effort does it take? A full week of your time with a lunch break should be enough, about 40 hours. Considering that all the interviews happen on time, nobody fucks up, everybody shows up, so you don't have a single free hour. In practice, it may take from 2 weeks to 2 months, depending on how good are you at attracting new customers. Who do you need for this? Usually, it's done by product managers, but I saw researchers, business analysts who took part in that. Anyone who is ready to get involved. What happens next? After you conduct research and tell results to your team, you may have new hypotheses, potential issues. You may have a feedback, formulas for marketing and sales team, or clearer price proposal regarding your product. Who should you read on that? Just these guys, Ivan Zametin and Sergey Tikhanirov, are the ones that wrote something interesting about this. What is your call to action? You can add me in social feeds, in Telegram and Facebook, LinkedIn. If you want to refer to EPAM also, you can contact me. Thank you.
Наверное, я должен сказать вопросы, если они есть.
If there are any questions, I'm ready to answer them. You come across in CusDev that with the task that you need to sell something to a client. How do you explain to the customer this activity? This approach does not only fit the startups. We also work with the companies that are trying to put a new product on the market. They have something internal and they want to, like the big companies, they want to put something outside and to understand what kind of segment it is. HRs use this product, but we want to sell outside. HRs need it. But actually, I'm fantasizing here. It's not only about for startups. Secondly, there may be a product that you're working with, and if you want to develop a new feature, then it's a source of formulating requirements, because your clients are already using this product, but after the custom dev research, you may understand what are the similar problems they're trying to solve. It's about formulating similar business requirements. Or the third part, when you want to spread your product to a similar segment next to yours. How do we sell it, explain it to the client? I don't have a ready-made answer to this. I think this tool, the interview with the current client, potential segment, may be used among other ways to reach the goal. But it is not actually a must. We don't have to conduct this research. My second question is about B2B. You said that this indeed is a difficult task to involve the respondents. How do you attract them? It's all about network. The first thing is network. Everybody has their own friends who are in the positions that will be of interest.
Second option is via the sales department. If we talk about the current product, if they communicate with the customers, we can make an interview via them to decide to see what the customers are buying or to find the references. And so you go to LinkedIn, to Facebook, like it's cold sales, and come and ask people to tell something if they can. So normally it's a point of conversion. Some channels provide very good conversion and some other give very low one. Thank you. So
pay the users to do interviews with them, like you pay them or some incentives?
Okay. Should I answer in English or I can do it in Russian?
As you wish.
Okay.
I understand well, but I don't speak very well.
Okay. I will answer in Russian just to not to switch.
Okay, so the question was how to motivate respondents for them to pass the interviews. So basically, I've never used monetary motivation, although that is possible, especially in the Western market. This is quite developed, but you will pay, like if it's CXO level, you will pay just 200 euro for 1 hour of interview because time costs money there. So motivation, well, if we speak about what me or my colleagues do for thanks, for gratitude, for giving the opportunity to use the product, if we need some extended access to the product, so we give you 3 extra months, etc. So this was a story about the provision of online training for the employees. For example, we had an access to resources. For example, we make an interview with HR and your 10 sales get an access to the training course for 3 months for sale of something or something like that. Yeah, so basically I've never paid directly, but sometimes interviews were really good and people gave some feedback and also references. And I always ask, whom else will you recommend? And I also say that, thank you, I will give you online card. loyalty card for some store, and people can save some money. And that normally works well, especially among women, because women can find something small, like as a gift for themselves or for the relatives, and it works. I'd like to continue the B2B topic. There is a peculiar feature that the customer does not equal user. When you do a B2B interview, what is the principle you use to choose? I mean, well, you create HR system. So are you trying to catch the final users, the end users, or do you interview those who are going to pay the money? Because you know, like it's like with kids and parents. There's no sense of interviewing kids who need some toys because parents will pay for that. In B2B, with whom do you make these interviews? So, in general, I would personally communicate with those who pay money because they really buy something. But on the other hand, I would orient at the product because, for example, one C accountant software which accountant use, okay, the owner pays for that or director pays for that, but they don't care how sales will use it because he will find other sales assistants, sales specialists in the market. Because somebody says, okay, I cannot work with this CRM, so you're fired. You know? But if there is a product that's been selected by the customer and there are 3D designers, expensive ones, 3D animators who are also expensive, or guys who are making very, very expensive code, then these people, they are hard to find in the market. It's easy to lose them, and it's difficult to keep them. So for them, we can orient at the user, because if the customer chooses some product which these people cannot use, then probably he will lose these people because professionals they will find some job, some other job if they need, and they will be given the tools that they can use. So if you don't have this tool, okay, it's not free, but you can pay for that, etc. That's what an expert would say before leaving your company for good. Yeah. Well, there was a comment. Why shouldn't we separate the segments? To communicate with those who buy and those who pay, and with the users. So first, I'd like to understand the pain of the business customer because sales will come to him, and I'd like to understand what is his pain. Because the director for sales, he is not covering the pain, but he's covering the sale himself, but sale assistant himself. And when you develop a CRM, you will come to the user and you will talk to him, asking how he used the CRM on everyday basis. Why he is using Excel instead of CRM. We have hundreds of these software products, and you will talk to him to come to the customer to tell him, okay, this is a nice new product, and you will see all your centralized reports in one place. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So the rest of the questions will be in the chat.